Hello, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about writing the middle parts of your comic. I got a few questions that kind of summarize to being like, how do I keep my middle from being soggy? Why does my middle lag? What am I doing wrong? Help me, please. And I thought we could address some of the mistakes that people make with middles and how to address them. I think that the middle has two major problems, and that is that you either don't have enough plot points to fill up the middle, or you're not dressing up plot points appropriately. My goodness, that was a lot of P's. And so, let's address the first part. What do I mean, not enough plot points? The thing about middles is middles need to have lots of action. When I used to write middles, when I was very starting out, beginning, I would fixate a lot on things like the midpoint, the turning points, the pinch points, just like the major points of tension that occur throughout a story. And I wouldn't think about all the other integral little bits that make up a comic. I just fixate on the middle, right? And so when it comes to writing the middle parts of your story, what you want is to have momentum that carries the whole thing. I got a lot more into writing by the seat of my pants rather than outlining, and that helped my middles a lot. But you can outline in more action if that's something you're interested in. You have to fixate a little more on what carries you between the major points, and what carries you is going to be action, it's going to be motivation, movement, activity, events. A lot of the time we don't dress up the smaller points, we don't add interesting scenes around things that we write. We just kind of carry characters from one major point to the next, but you need to push them forward with motivation. Motivation is like the driving force of everything that happens in your comic. So you need to always be adding external pressure to move characters forward. So I always talk about the 4 types of plots. If you watch a lot of my videos, I'm sure you're bored of this, but there are 4 major types of plots, and they are location, answer, character, and event, the LACE plots. And so each plot has a very unique way that it begins and ends, and the way that it begins and ends will define how you create tension and how you pressure the story to move forward. So in a location plot, a location story is about wanting to get from point A to point B, like physically moving from a location to a better location, a new location. And so in a location plot, what gets in the way and what moves characters forward is obstacles in the way of getting to the location. So in a road trip story, this is going to be something like a flat tire. This is going to be something like a detour. This is going to be anything that stops your characters on that journey. So when you want to add pressure and move towards a tense plot point, you want to be building pressure. Whenever you're writing a scene, you want to enter the scene with a goal in mind. At the end of the scene, the character is either going to get the goal that they wanted to achieved, or they're going to fail at that goal. And then you need to use your improviser's toolkit, and you need to yes but no and. In order to keep momentum in your story, in order to keep things going, you need there to be consequences at the end of every scene. Pretty much, there are some scenes that you can use to lower tension and reflect on previous scenes. Those don't really get yes but no anded. However, you can do that, and there is utility in doing this. and making sure to add this. So in the case of our location story, we can fix our flat tire, but there will be some sort of like consequence to that. We fix the flat tire, but now we're gonna be late to catch the plane. Or we didn't fix the flat tire and now we got a bike and now we're gonna be late to catch the train or whatever. So like it needs to build off of it and create further tension. Like everything needs to snowball and get bigger. That is the key to making your middle amplify and build. So we were going to talk about answer plots. Answer plots, they are question answer stories. So the go-to is like a murder story. So like in a murder mystery story, you may have a clue that is unveiled. Clues tend to be kind of like what gets in the way, what gets us closer to the answer. Red herrings are things that get in the way. Needing to find one clue to find the next clue is something that gets in the way. So you may think that you have found who done it, and you go and you talk to them, and then at the end we get yes but no and. It's either yes, this is the person, but there's more to the story, it's bigger than we think, or this isn't the person and now something worse has happened or more information has revealed that has made it worse. So that's like how question answer would work. Character story is always complicated. That one has to do with a character arc where someone is learning something. Like characters will start in one place being all flawed and stuff, and then they'll either learn to embrace who they are or they will learn to change who they are. So the challenges that come the way of characters in character stories, they are going to be like external forces that pressure them to reevaluate. And in the case of character stories, they are usually going to fail at changing who they are multiple times before they actually do it, before they like move forward. So when you're doing the middle, you are going to be pressuring them and challenging their flaw, and they're going to be failing a lot with that. The next thing would be event stories, and event stories are based around the fact that like a status quo is upended and then a new status quo is reached at the end. And when you're making middles for event stories, events are going to be happening. Like the status quo is going to keep changing. The consequences of the upended status quo are going to get in the way. The fixing of the status quo is going to not go as the character's plan. I guess if we can summarize anything, it's the fact that middles are about failure more than anything. They're about failure, they're about things getting worse, they're about pressure, and they're about like building off of things, right? And you need to have a rise in pressure that is nice and not even, but steady. And if you just rush to the big points in your plot, that's where you're going to end up failing, is you're going to miss out on the pressure building, the actual story that goes around the skeletal structure of a plot. And along with that, what I was saying about like not dressing up your plots well enough is you need to find more plot points. You need to brainstorm things that can get in the way, things that can go wrong. You need to brainstorm different scenarios and interesting things that can happen. So example for me was I'm writing the Books of Avo 2, a sequel to my novel, which is currently getting turned into a comic thing as well. That's what's being colored in on screen. And when I was writing the first version of Books of Avo, like the first version of the sequel, I added a lot of the major structure of the story that I really liked. But then I wanted to add more flavor. Like looking back at my first draft, there was a lot of things that were missing. And the main thing that was missing was that this is like a 1920s inspired story. I want 1920s things. And I wrote some 1920s things that I would like to introduce into my story, to add a backdrop and add unique situations. So I added some stuff about kind of like the film industry. I have a good subplot going on there. I got newsies happening, and I also got a whole train trip. I was like, I really need trains. We need some steam engines. Let's add that to the story. And it added a whole bunch of new unique interactions that could occur and opened up the world a lot more. And you need to do that when you're writing the middle. You need to come up with ideas that you want to see play out. And from those, that's where you can find interesting obstacles for your characters. Like, have a good list, brainstorm a list of different things that can happen, and then place them into your story as you see fit. And that is how I get through the Soggy Middle. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you all so much for coming back to videos. Make sure to like the video. I know every YouTuber says this, and they do it in a fun little way. It has to do with the fact that most people won't click on the like button unless they, you know, like if you say it the same way every time, people aren't going to click. You have to say it in a fun, funky little way. You have to say like, hit the like button, or I don't know. You're asking a lot of me here. Okay. See, please like the video and check if you're subscribed, because I post a lot of videos, and I'll be posting another one tomorrow. So I'll see you then. I can't make this video too long. I didn't record enough footage. Let's go. Okay, goodbye.